Sunday Telegraph, first of all, it says that the Health Secretary, Matt Hancock, failed to tell the Prime Minister about a study showing the effectiveness of Covid vaccines during a meeting to decide whether to extend restrictions in England. However, a government source tells the Telegraph that equivalent data to the study was shown to Boris Johnson and other senior ministers at the meeting. And I think this is all around the discussion about whether it's appropriate to keep these current measures in place for another month, which there's been a lot of resistance to.
Yeah, the Sunday Times says that Downing Street and the Treasury are at loggerheads over Boris Johnson's multi-million-pound spending pledges. Well, the headline, as you can see there, describes the PM.
The Mail on Sunday has a royal splash. It reports a claim that Prince Charles has vowed that Harry and Meghan's son Archie will never be a prince under the new slimmed-down monarchy. A palace spokesman told the paper they don't comment on speculation over succession.
And it was musical royalty that was trending on Twitter overnight. Paul Weller played a concert with the BBC Symphony Orchestra in London last month. It was broadcast on BBC Two last night. It prompted a flood of admiring comments online.
So loads of football around at the moment, of course, with the Euros going on.
Yes.
There was the England-Scotland game on Friday night, which was, I think, a thrill for a lot of Scottish fans who were there, keeping them to that 0-0 draw, but for England fans, a disappointment. Slight side issue in the football was Gareth Southgate's attire. Now, if you can see here, the first game he'd worn a suit, but this game it was, I mean, the weather was awful. The rain was hammering down, and he opted for a shacket. So obviously it's a cross between a shirt and a jacket. You as a man of style, Ben, I expect to know about these things.
In fact, it just doesn't fit very well.
Is that the problem? So
I mean, maybe it's a bad
item.
photo. It's kind of, he's in a sort of slightly managerial pose on the sidelines there, isn't he? But it just doesn't fit very well.
And what do we think about the shacket and polo shirt combo?
I'm not a fan of a very tightly buttoned up polo shirt.
Anyway, I know it's not exactly relevant in terms of the way England played on the pitch, but
it feels kind of appropriate because, you know, the papers are always full of what, you know, the women are wearing at Ascot this week and things like that. So, you know,
bit of balance.
Exactly,
do you have a shacket in your cupboard?
I do not. And I shall not be wearing one. I love this story that's in the Times this morning, and we know the pandemic has caused so many changes, good and bad. One, perhaps for good, could be that you can potentially now get married on a beach. Because you'll know, as Rachel was saying, there's restrictions set to last another 4 weeks that do limit somewhat, even though there are special dispensations for weddings, there are still restrictions about things like the celebration or the parties or the reception that you might have after. This suggests that couples will be allowed to get married outside for the first time from the 1st of July, and the plans to make it possible to boost the size of weddings for the summer.
And lockdown conversation has focused a lot on what we've been binging in terms of box sets and so on all the streaming services. But apparently now we are reverting back to watching television traditionally, and the big streaming giants like Disney and Amazon are increasingly releasing episodes of hit shows weekly rather than dropping them all in one go. They cite Loki in particular. It's the Marvel series on Disney+. They're releasing episodes each week on that.
Because it lets you build a conversation around it, doesn't it? Rather than everyone being at different stages.
Exactly, and Line of Duty was another one. And then what you get with that is you get the kind of build-up, but you also get all the add-ons. You get the podcasts, you get the kind of, you know, weekly sort of digests of everything that's going on and the speculation that everyone can build into.
I wonder how long that continues when we have a bit less time on our hands as well.
Maybe not.
Maybe just have one evening, want to do the whole thing.
Exactly.